All right, game number 1 kicking off, but we did get a donation to start it. And I don't know why this thing here on the top right's not updating correctly, but Alaska Winter 923 just donated $20. It says, "Here's your teeth fund." I mean fund. ZG2. What?
Oh, you donated to me too?
I don't know. He just wrote a confusing message. But Alaska Winter 923, thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. We are gonna get into the game though, and it is.
He said, "Here's to your non-teeth fund. Enjoy." Thank you.
It's funny in the top right. I don't know why I found that funny. It's funny in the top right corner. The play for NC Sports. It's gonna be the red Protoss Welmu.
In the bottom left, as the purple Zerg, it's my Insanity Serral. So, as this is, you know, it's not like an early pool or anything, I guess to add on the woes, I mean, I also have to pay for my dentist appointment. I actually got x-rays, like full x-rays, since it's been 2 to 3 years since my last dentist appointment. And I have that next week, so this is also probably going to my teeth fund. But, you know, obviously I don't actually have a problem.
Yeah, so
not like wisdom teeth removal.
I was told 4 months ago that I need my wisdom teeth out ASAP.
Yeah, right? Like, I remember when we first came back for that. Whereas, for me, I'm just getting, like, a checkup and, like, removing plaque and stuff. Actually, x-rays aren't that expensive. Fluoride is expensive. That shit sucks.
Actually, so what's kind of funny about that... Well, first off, I guess, a quick comment on the game, taking the natural out here, but good thing Welmu probe scouted. But what's kind of funny about that is I hadn't been to the dentist since, like, fucking high school. So it's seriously been, like, 8 or plus years. So when I went in, I was expecting to be told, like, oh, you've got a million cavities, and, like, we got to scrape all the shit off your teeth. But really, they're like, and I don't floss anything. Like, I'm just a very casual tooth care person.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Teeth aren't so bad. You just got a wisdom teeth problem. Scrape off some of this shit, like, on the back of your teeth, like the plaque that's built up or whatever. But they're like, you're 99% good to go. And I'm like, oh, well, that's good. Then, like, by the way, to get your wisdom teeth out, it's going to be like $2,000. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah, some people were just good genetics and kind of lucky with that, but, I forgot I was gonna.
It's like a body image comment I need to make off that. Like,
well, anyway, dentistry aside. Yeah, I thought I had another comment, but I don't. Oh well, it's for PvZ on Dusk Towers, so there really is not much else to talk about besides our daily life.
Well, I would actually like to bring up a small comment about Welmu, though, while we have builds starting to develop. And that's that Welmu's had, I'd say, the most flippy-floppy results. That probe lives. Cool. Hype. 1 health, too. But, like, he's given us really fun games. Again, Welmu versus the Muslim, Welmu versus the Lycanine. Like, these are some of the most fun Protoss versus Terrans we've ever seen. But every time it comes to versus Zerg, Welmu either is a literal god, or he's not playing very well. And what's really frustrating to say about that is, like, it's been so inconsistent. I can't really tell you where Welmu's at the moment. Like, yesterday, for the Ting Open qualifiers, he got knocked out really early. That was really disappointing to see, because I expected him to be one of the qualifying contenders.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he is at that stage where it's not super consistent, and that's so far it's been unfortunate, but it has created a bit of a story to watch him. And of course, sometimes he's one of the last like Protoss, or sometimes one of the last like non-Zerg in a couple of our tournaments. So enjoyed watching him. And we did bring up before this game started how all of the invites so far are just Protoss and Zerg, but they are also, there's only 3 Protoss, so 5 Zerg, 3 Protoss. So I would like to see Welmu get through.
I had a couple people donate to my personal donations, and one of them is rather large, so I'm sorry, I just gotta shout this out really quick. So first off, Bahuntumi donated $2. It says, hey, you're a good man. Enjoyed meeting you last year at WCS Toronto. Hope this helps with the teeth thing. Cool cat. Man, I actually I want to read this other stuff, but I just want to comment too. I really love meeting fans. I just have such a good time meeting people. I don't know what that's about. But then Structural Integrity donates $76.27. It says, make sure to post pictures of your swollen post-surgery chipmunk face. Thank you so much.
And okay, so we have actually Dark Templars being worked on, which is pretty important, and they're going to be formed into an Archon immediately, which is a little interesting. This is usually combined with a push, but sometimes, yeah, it's just the double Archon drops, which is very peculiar because so far, he's gotten away with not getting his Dark Shrine scouted. So he would have had an opportunity to send either 1 DT to each base or like straight up just kill a 3rd base, which I think is going to be better than double Archon drops. But oh well.
I mean, Okay, so double Archon drops has the potential to do a lot of damage because roaches aren't going to do shit to it. Lings aren't going to do shit to it. But look, there's no defense here.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering how many gateways he has. Yeah, he's going to warp in on top of this.
He traps
so he
in the
is
Archon,
going.
though.
Oh, that's a little awkward. Well, he is going to push with this, and if he can get a second warp in of Adepts in, I think he could do like actually like a ton of damage, take down the army basically, and then deal economic damage beyond that. So this is scarier than just the 2 Archons. The other warp in should be ready quite soon.
You know, the Adept soaking hits also mean that those Archons really didn't take damage for a while. They even pick up microing into the Warp Prism. Got to keep this alive for just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
They're going to bring the pain when it comes to these Queens. William's really low, though. He picks it up. Oh, my God. That thing actually pops immediately. But still, I feel like the damage here's already been dealt. Like, this is so much you can warp in once again if you'd like to. The Queens are mostly gone. There's 7 Roaches coming out, sure. But that 1 Archon that's still left is going to do a ton of damage.
Yeah, this is a very just like... It's not quite on par with the old Sentry walling off trick, you know, force field and whatnot, but it can be very dirty. So Welmu did go ahead and try and take on the army, so he could have also just spread out the Adepts and taken down a lot of drones. But either way, I think he did enough damage to warrant this, because he does have a 3rd behind this. He's pretty fine for like if a counterattack happens. It was okay, I suppose.
What I really wish we'd see him do is actually work with some DTs. There we go. Speaking of which...
Yeah, that is really quite dirty, because still, the Spore Crawlers are not down. I mean, I think if you really thought about it, you would...
He's got to pick these up.
Oh, yeah, he does. You would maybe think that they made him with DTs, but maybe didn't expect it. I guess... Oh, no, he did know. He knew, because he had an Overseer with the other half of the army.
So while this goes on, it is worth noting Serral had a pretty good defense in terms of keeping the drones alive. Like, the army for army value didn't go so great for him, but at the end of the day, Welmu doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of army going for him either. So there's not going to be a follow-up push where you've got that rally of Immortals and Stalkers coming down the middle of the map, at least not anytime soon. So this 4th base he's going to get away with. This was good calm under pressure, I gotta say.
It was. It could have been much worse. And yeah, again, that could have been Welmu just trying to take down the drones, but then opening himself up to a counterattack, cutting out, taking down some of the army as well. So this game, I don't actually know who would be quite in the lead here. 4 bases versus 3. Almost 80 drones for sale is pretty impressive. And honestly, the Immortal count isn't terrifying yet. So the Lurker Den is like still pretty nicely timed with quite a big bank behind it too to actually morph in said Lurkers. So it still puts Serral in a very like scary spot here to cancel that 4th and take on the army.
So I got another donation coming in, $2 from Fractal Otaku. Says you have 49 days to go and you have 25% of the money you need already. People obviously support you. Don't feel guilty. By the way, how do I privately message you? My DMs are open on Twitter, or you can just message us here on BaseTradeTV. But thank you for the $2.
Your DMs are open on Twitter, you brave person.
I don't know. I get
like
spam and delete it. I don't care. I follow 1,000 people on Twitter, man. Like, whatever.
That is definitely true. You do that. But this is like Fear Dragon keeping his PMs on Twitch open, like the chat open. That is. I wouldn't do that.
I think the difference is Fear Dragon is not someone who's willing to be like fuck you, whereas I am. So.
Even I'm willing to say fuck you, but I also don't want like 15 creepers messaging me on Twitch. Well, anyway. So another donation came into the BaseTradeTV. So thanks SC2 Full for donating $25. Says thanks for everything you do for SC2. Much love from Sweden. Thank you.
Shout out to Sweden. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if we got these resubs either, but Tyranny, SC2, and Dane543, and Bob's Bunch. Thanks.
Yeah, I like Bob's Bunch game. He looks like subs are dumb, and then like subs right away.
Yeah.
This is a weird spore color, by the way. The way the lurkers were burrowed, I guess, while it was building, just ends up creating a weird building dynamics around it.
Drops in the main base of Welmu. These are all roach drops. Well,
This
some
is
lings in
something-
here as well.
He should actually be able to hold not just with the Immortal, but warp in like 3 DTs. Like, I mean, there's no overseers. It's not a problem. But he's going to push the middle of the map while this goes on, realizing that's a lot of lurkers. Welmu has to pull back.
I don't know if he just didn't realize lurkers were there or what, but like he didn't lose so much. The army's probably still even, and he did warp in DTs, so that was a pretty good defensive maneuver idea. Serral on the defense, by the way, just entirely like waiting with the lurkers. He is going up to Hive. He's not trying to tear down Welmu's 4th. So even if Welmu did take a bit of economic damage, like easily replaces probes, pretty much no problem. He really has to worry more about what is happening after the lurkers. And usually at this point, if they're going to go to Spire, you would have hoped to have already started your Stargate or Tempests, but that's not the case right now. Uh-oh. The fourth might be going down entirely. It might be more important than just the probes going
these
down.
Simultaneous attacks out of Serral proved to be really effective. I mean, the drops were really cool, and they definitely caught Welmu off guard. His fourth base absolutely going to go down. No saving it, but he is going to be able to keep the probes alive, which is a small consolation, but a nice one nonetheless. Hopefully gets these overlords, though, because these lings might get picked up and dropped somewhere else if not careful.
I wouldn't mind losing the fourth base or losing like 20 probes or whatever if it was just a game about, you know, the Protoss Charge Lot Immortal Archon army versus a Zerg Lurker Hydra army. Like, okay, fine, you can probably rebuild that and your army's still looking pretty good. But this is going into Broodlords very soon, and Welmu still doesn't have an answer for it. Like, not even the base answer of Blink Stalkers. He really has nothing. Like, Archon should not reach the Broodlords.
I know, I was going to say, like, you can have 10 Archons, but the problem is they're all going to be stuck dealing with the Broodlings. So, I mean, this is a great move out of Serral, not to mention how good the Lurkers are going to be to complement this. I'm really worried for Welmu. I just don't think he has an answer. We saw him not even be able to touch the Lurker army. And let's also not forget with those Sport Crawlers being on mass like the way they are, there's actually no reliable detection for said Lurkers. The Observer's probably going to get picked off very easily, I'd imagine. Unless the Lurkers are caught unburrowed!
That was a mistake, but we have 10 more Broodlords on the way. 6 more now.
Oh, they're shooting the Queens instead of the Lurkers. The Observer's a little bit late to the party for detection, so a lot of the Archons go down right away, and the Broodlords do finish up. With that being the case, so the Archons actually get underneath a good chunk of them, but most of them have bled out at this point. There's just not enough here. There's no Warpins. There's no nothing. This Broodlord army is going to kill the Immortals.
Yeah, but you know, maybe the Immortals, with the Charge Lots combined, they can probably just run past the Broodlord, start tearing down a couple of hatcheries. That would certainly be worth for Welmu.
It's an awkward amount of stutter stepping, but he has to do it this way so the Broodlings never snowball.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess he's not going to be able to take on any hatcheries. He can't run away from the Broodlords. With the Lings reinforcing, he couldn't run away either, and that is going to be a much better fight for Serral then. Because, you know, they did trade out army for the most part, but he still has no response to the Broodlords.
Counterattack on the other side of the map goes off. Yeah, Probe's going to die. If he had a Warp Prism, if the Warp Prism rather didn't die on the attack and he was able to warp in Stalkers, like that wasn't that many Broodlords initially. That was something that was totally manageable with a low amount of Archons. Can you imagine if they had any amount of support?
Yeah, GG.
So close, so close. But Serral will take the first game here in the series. Let's also, again, emphasize this is a qualifying match. This is a qualifying round, so there is quite a bit on the line for this one best of 3. We're going to hop into a small break, though, while we get into game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes. All right, game number 2 underway here for the qualifying match. Again, tomorrow is going to be a double elimination tournament with 8 already fantastically strong invited players. And one of these 2 will qualify through to play against them for a chance to win that spot to IEM Shanghai. I am, of course, Rifkin, cast with Zombie Grub, and in the bottom left side of the map, it's going to be my Insanity's Purple Zerg up 1-0, Serral.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, it is Welmu.
Okay, so Welmu also tweeted pretty much right as soon as that game was over, like, man, I'm really good at throwing games, ... And, like, that's a sucky feeling for certain. I can't see that, like, I feel he threw that game super hard, but that was certainly at the end very, very just, like, womp womp.
Yeah, I don't know. Throw the game is correct. He certainly had a good position after that early game aggression. It did enough to warrant the attack and even a little bit more. But it was always going to be difficult if Serral was going to get any counterattacks in. And something I really like about Serral since I first saw him like years ago is that he was a pretty, like, you know, he was a Zerg that Zerged it up basically, right? Like he had those ability to do counterattacks. He didn't just stay at home and do absolutely nothing, even though that's what his Lurkers did. His Roaches and Lings were off doing something else. So yeah, he could have cleaned up the main attack a little bit better. Okay, sure, maybe you should have expected the Lings of the 4th base and had maybe even better Sim City. Okay, and then maybe like don't attack into Lurkers like he did. It was like, kind of like an A move, but all those things added up, ruined the game. There was not a single like throw like, oh my god, he totally should have won that game moment. At least for me. I don't know. Maybe for him it was very obvious.
Like, he may be thinking about the aggression of the Archons. He maybe have been thinking about the Immortals towards the end. I don't know, but I do think that Ruins of Endion presents a lot of different opportunities, and for a player like Welmu, I'm hoping to see him take advantage of them. again, like, let's say it's that same sort of situation. Broodlord's coming out of Serral. This is a map that's so good for Tempest, so good for Blank Stalkers.
Yeah.
We may see a completely different game out of Welmu. I mean, especially with the fact that he's not... I don't know if he can get away with Archon drops again. Those are kind of cool, but they didn't really devastate.
Yeah, and it's unlikely you're going to get away with a hidden Dark Shrine, too, which started it. You know, it could have been the Dark Templars killing a base. It could have been the Archon aggression that we saw. Either one, it was a problem that Serral just did not scout that in general. But certainly if the game is cleaner, then Welmu doesn't make those mistakes of letting aggression catch him off guard or let his immortals walk into lurkers. And that should look a lot better on this map in particular, because aggression can be more difficult to pull off, especially if you don't break down the rocks early enough. Then you just, we have a couple of key observers in place, and you don't have to worry about 1 or maybe 2 chokes, but usually never 3 or 4 positions, really. Really, if they break down the rocks early enough, which Welmu is doing, they can get 4 bases, even, fairly easily. Oh.
Yeah, who's it? Drogo, we cast a lot of Drogo, we cast a lot of yesterday, who was doing this sort of move. Just knock down those rocks, take a 3rd base quick, get a Stargate up, and just kind of dance around the map with Phoenix. And it worked. I mean, he beat every Zerg player he came up against.
Almost.
What?
Right?
He qualified.
Yeah, but I mean, on this map, I remember he lost at least one of those games.
Oh, well, yeah, the other one was that stupid base trade weirdness with Blind.
Yeah.
That was a different story. That was a really fun game, but that was a different story altogether.
Was it with Blind? Yeah, you're right, it was. Yeah, that was fun with the Corruptor. But anyway, I mean, I think this is like the pretty standard way to go as Protoss. And then, I guess the question, because of Phoenix, 3rd base, all makes sense. The question is whether or not he does play like Drogo. So is it going to be the standard Immortal Archon thing that we saw from the last game? Or, like Drogo, he's going to go for that Blink Stalker attack that caught off one Zerg pretty hardcore, and then another actually did like a decent job defending it.
So, by the way, looking at some of the other matches, which you guys might be able to find on some of the other streams currently broadcasting, like O-Game or TV, Mana plays against Damaga in a qualifying match. Gung Fu Banda's playing against Guru in a qualifying match. There's some other qualifying matches going down that are going to be pretty sick. Personally, I got my eyes on TLO there in the southern half of the bracket versus sort of potentially coming up after this. Hopefully we can wiggle our way into it this time.
Cool. Yeah, I guess maybe... Yeah, there's still like 2 or 3 more matches, really. No, wait, no, probably just 2 more. Including this one.
Tuma, it's not a Tuma.
Oh,
Wow.
Namshar's bracket is a little held up, actually. Doing a while for the Potato guy that we thought was Partouf.
Partouf. Yeah, it looks just like him, but getting here with some Phoenix is going to be a little bit of a nuisance. Still trying to knock down these rocks. I guess one of the differences we are seeing, though, is Welmu's not really policing the rocks. Like, if there was an Adept sitting on the other side of this, he could chip away at the Lings and delay how long this takes to come down. Unfortunately, though, it's just Phoenix roaming around the map. So back at home, one of the discussions we had yesterday with Drogo was it does kind of suck that you can't have one pylon attached to the Nexus and also have range of the rocks. So I like that Welmu built the 2nd pylon just right away. Not only can it overcharge, but it can also just have eyes on the rocks being broken down, to have knowledge that those are being torn down.
Yeah. I mean, sure, if the game's gonna be very passive like it has been so far, it's really easy to only focus on one of the technically 3 avenues of attack, I suppose, the bottom, the middle, and the top. And yeah, we saw like that whole base trade that arose with Bly and Drogo was because Drogo forgot to keep eyes on the top. But that's what the Mothership's doing right now, although it's very dangerous for her to be doing that. Phoenix does now go up there. But we should see aggression from someone, I feel. Welmu, I think, is still, he's still getting his gateways and still getting his immortal count, but Serral could start breaking down some rocks, at the very least, opening up all these pathways I just mentioned, because the Phoenixes are going to be taken care of with the Hydras now. It's really the only problem that was there for that. And Serral's getting double attack upgrades. In the last game, he was upgrading mainly his Lings, for sure.
By the way, we apparently missed it, so I just want to give a big shout out to Marish for the 21-month resub. Sorry that it... I thought I heard it. I didn't hear a stim sound. I guess maybe it went off and I just didn't notice, or... Okay, so it's just Twitch alerts then. Good.
Good.
So, shout outs to Marish. Anyways, but But yeah, this is good creep spread out of Serral. He's got a lot of map control already. He's taking that 4th base rather comfortably, despite that sort of stall out with the rocks. But he's also going for Ling Hydra right now, which I find a little interesting. And I'm wondering if this will end up going to Banelings or if this goes in the direction of Lurkers. With melee upgrades, it smells like, oh, well, never mind. It smells like a Lurker, or sorry, a Nidus Worm. Well,
yeah, I certainly didn't expect that. Yeah, there is also Lurker Den, but the Nidus Worm certainly is unexpected. I mean, with the double attack upgrades, I thought he would be more aggressive than just, you know, like last game where he waited for Brood Lords, but I did not imagine a Nidus Worm is going to be that answer. Still upgrading only the attack upgrades, by the way, at 2-2. Interesting. Well, see how that Nidus Worm goes down. Could be a couple opportunities, either, you know, in the main or the 3rd. You could even fake out if you're actually going to use the Nidus Worm. Very interesting. There's no sight anywhere though, except here. For reinforcements? Well, Nidus Worm or not, we do have a little bit of posturing going down, as Serral does not want that base to be entirely free for Welmu. Overload drops. And a Nidus Worm? Wombo combo?
Maybe the Nidus Worm's the exit strategy.
Maybe?
Actually, I really would love if the Nidus Worm went north, but there's no vision up there because it hit in one location and the other simultaneously. That's how Terrans beat Protoss. Zerg trying to take on that aspect. Oh, those overcharges are so close to being amazing. Overlord still get the drops off, but this is a big dedication of supply out of Serral. Here comes that Nidus Worm, but is this going to be worth it? Teleport walking into the death. Oh, Welmu. Oh
dear.
They don't even have storms. What was he trying to do with those?
Just part of the army and A moves, unfortunately. So it looks like this is going to be cleaned up. I don't think the Nidus Worm can get too much out before you just focus fire it.
Good force to hold what little there is in place. Another Nidus Worm comes down in the middle of the map. I'm not sure about this. Zealots also attack the top left. I like this aggression out of Welmu. Good defense. Deflex. Got to power up those gateways again ASAP. But he's got a bit of pressure now going on up here. It does get cleaned up though out of Serral, but now the question is, how does this Nidus Worm get used? This doesn't feel like this is too advantageous of a spot to have.
Very interesting attempts at aggression. Certainly, like we saw, what was it, like Nurture and DreamHack was all over the place with, you know, drops and Nidus Worms and whatnot, and that worked out. So far, this isn't working out that well for Serral, but, you know, persistence can sometimes really be key. And now he has Lurkers to complicate things a bit. Like if you don't have an observer, then suddenly your army walks into it while you're busy microing everywhere.
And Welmu, by the way, last time didn't really have oracles in play. Doesn't this time either. So detection is going to be a bit rough.
Well, the Templar's feedbacking.
I mean, it kind of works against the Queens.
Yeah. They do retreat and go into the other Nidus, where the Lurkers are going to pop out from. Oh, he's really trying to target it. Oh, that was close.
If he had been able to get that, that would have been real nice. He's out of position pretty hardcore. This is Serral spending a lot of money to just be able to move around the map, and I don't know if that mobility is necessarily going to be worth it, but one thing's for certain is that Welmu doesn't really have the option to deal with this right now. This Nexus might just go down.
God. Yeah. I think this is where Storms really would have been helpful. So besides losing the High Templars in general, and that's a lot of gas down the drain, just having 1 or 2 Storms at each location to start off each attack, you know, make Serral think twice would have been very, very helpful. But it looks like when Welmu can actually get his entire army facing Serral's entire army, he does win the fight.
This is where you just wish you had like a ton of cannons at home. It's also warping in and not bad, of course, but probes are gonna go down if they stay here mining. He's trying to hold on to this as long as he can. Mothership Core comes back, but she's only got 1 overcharge in her.
Yeah, it's gonna help with the Lings a little bit. Maybe the Hydras can get taken care of.
But while this goes on, Welmu goes for the counterattack with the Immortals, and frankly, this is a force that Serral can't stop. Welmu does finally, eventually, with Warpins, clean up that attack up there in the top right, and this looks like a game for Welmu that's looking far better. That Warp Prism at 4 health. Oh my god, he's gonna live.
On. Oh, there's a Hydra right there. But that's pretty big. Additionally, sniping the Observer. There we go.
Here comes another one. Here comes another one.
He could probably snip that one too.
He should. I want to point out his
Oh,
Observer control's been pretty good, though. He's been very much intentionally pulling those back in a lot of these fights, but I think this might be a little too far gone now, Zombie Girl, because even with the Observers or not, there's so many Zealots that are just going to be unanswered.
Yeah, there's no more Lurkers anyways to really abuse the lack of Observers, and he's been remaking the Observers, as you notice. That could be the one thing be his downfall. Now, Serral still has some decent mining, but wherever he makes his Hydras, they're running into an army all disconnected from each other, and it's not working out that well.
That Warp Prism's still alive. Oh my god. He's got fully regenerated shields at this point, which is really impressive too. Mothership Core on top of the army also provides the opportunity for a recall should he need it, but I don't think he will. Even with the Lurkers Burg at the top of the ramp, GG is going to get called, and Welmu will tie up the series now 1-1.
Well done. Well played. Oh, team. Welmu, do you have -7 hours time supply left?
Oh, that weird bug. Yeah.
Yes, he does. Congratulations.
Nailed it. All right, we're going to go to a small break. We'll get to game number 3, guys. Don't go anywhere. Find out who wins and qualifies through when we return. I'm starting to wonder, though. I didn't notice. Was there post-game bugs in the previous games where we didn't have that mod? I'm wondering if maybe our mod is still interfering with it.
It's possible. It seems inconsistent.
It has been inconsistent. Like, sometimes on our mod it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I can't say that that's the thing to blame, but I am curious if that's an influence or not. Anyways, regardless, guys, welcome back to, because I mentioned, okay, because our thing is basically literally the WCS mod copy pasted with the addition of First Blood. That's and the graphs. So I wonder if the just regular old WCS mod would sorry, I'm getting off track. Let's cast the game. We'll figure the bugs out later. There's about 1 million of them. Look, I hit Control R, minimap disappears. No reason. Bug. Anyways, game number 3. It's tied up 1-1 now, and the winner of this game, the winner of this series, is going to be qualifying through for IEM. On the rightmost side of the map, on the bottom half, it is going to be it's esports Blue Protoss Welmu.
In the top left, as the Red Zerg, it's Mind Sanity Serral.
Now, this is an interesting choice for maps. First off, because, of course, it's leaving the map pool soon. It's actually going to be replaced by Frost or King Sejong Station. But more importantly, this map was really heralded as like a terrible map. People disliked it. They thought it would never be picked. It's turned out to provide some really interesting games that we've seen so far this season. But overall, this is not a map I don't think anyone really wants. And I feel like this is just like the lesser of 4 evils, where like whatever vetoes, you know, whether it's Prion or Reina, like they're all just worse choices that nobody wanted to play on.
Yeah. Just real quick, go into the donation. Panic switched. Donate $5. Here's $5. I know a guy. He can take care of your wisdom teeth. Just bring a pickup truck and some string. Also, life insurance. We just went over how we have no insurance.
Panic Switch also donated $5 to me while we were in somebody else's stream to make me shut up the other day.
Oh, well, that's rude. But anyway, back on the point of the map. So I think that this is the map where like you can have 1 or 2 specific scenarios that you want to find yourself in. So for Terran versus Zerg, you want to find yourself in a certain spawn, first of all, but then you want to be able to do like the tank drop through the chokes. Can be very difficult to deal with. I think for Protoss, we've seen a surprising amount of games. Protoss versus Zerg. Have you seen like any PvTs on this map? Well, anyway, Protoss versus Zerg, where both sides can really take the rocks being broken down, right? Like they can they can actually send it to a very long game, kind of like Ruins.
Well, actually, I don't know if you got to see it. There's that game I cast of Nathanius for our little caster tag session. And what was kind of cool was it was this rotation where, like, you know, each of them were kind of rotating around the map, like, with their expansions, of course, but also losing their mains and their naturals and such behind it. Like, it was really cool to see that sort of thing happen.
Yeah. So getting to 3 bases can actually be easy. It's the same deal with like on Ruins. Initially didn't really look that way because it was close by air, and you know the natural to natural really wasn't that long of a distance. This is not a very big map because you can break down rocks and you can keep account of the other rocks so they don't break down the rocks, and rocks and rocks and rocks can lead to a long game.
I think the coolest thing we saw though was that Neeb, I think it was versus Moss or Polch, whatever, he just proxied the Robo. Didn't see that coming from a mile away behind those rocks in their main. It's always a cool thing to see, but Welmu obviously not going that direction. Knocked down his own rocks for defensive capabilities, just kind of hovering on the map. He does have a proxy set up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a Robo.
It's not a Robo, no. But he is going for an Adept all-in. So I was just talking about how it can lead to a very long macro game. We've seen quite a few like Tempest games on this map. But kind of in that same like vein of like, okay, you expect a macro game, hit them with the not macro game, hit them with it all in. You know, they see the rocks broken down, they're just gonna assume. But that Overlord, it scouts, of course, no third, first of all, like no very quick one. No gas in the natural. Still, like, it might have even seen, like, no probes producing, although this one is still chronoed. And, well, of course, more importantly, this Overlord sees all the gateways, so that one scouted everything needed.
This is cool, though, because seeing 5 gateways is not that alarming. Seeing 8 would be. So putting the extra 3 up here, I mean, 5 is production on 2 bases, and you could underestimate.
That's more production than you need on 2 bases, though. And he saw there was no third. It was like a super quick third.
Okay, well,
either way.
My emphasis lies, though, that he didn't see the extra 3, and I think that's a really much more important scout.
I don't know. We'll see if Serral, like, I guess, scouts. I feel like seeing 5 enough.
I feel like with 5 on 2 bases, knowing that your opponent knocked their own rocks down, you could still mix drones with army. But if you saw 8 gateways, you stop droning. You just straight up stop droning.
Well, either way, he has stopped droning. He went for Burrow, realizing this is... Oh, well, he gets 4 more drones. Well, he gets Burrow, which I think he realized that there was no Robo. So even if he has, like, a lower amount of roaches than he needs, he can heal them or keep them alive for a lot longer. He does, of course, see the Adept breaking down the rocks as well. I think the assumption that there was a proxy somewhere had to be in his mind with the rocks being broken down and whatnot, so... I'm surprised he's not throwing down maybe like 1 or 2 spine crawlers to help out, but of course Adepts being Adepts, they could just shade around it.
How good do you think the Whack-A-Mole game is going to be, though? I mean, Burrow can save your ass in some situations, but this is a lot of Adepts, and I don't know, Zombie, this is scary.
Yeah. It doesn't have enough roaches, but the Burrow can help out here. You can also burrow the drones so that the Adepts have nothing but structures to shoot.
That's a good point. Actually, that's probably the best opportunity of something to do in this situation, but roaches are playing that Whack-A-Mole game and healing up while Burrow. Time Warp did nothing at all. Serral's actually not losing many units at all through this so far.
Yeah. He even have to burrow the drones. He's only lost a couple, but once again has to burrow the roaches and the queens. Burrow the drones.
But now he has to, yeah.
More roaches are on the way, so sooner.
I mean, he's forced to fight because if there are no roaches to fight, they kill the queens, they kill the hatchery, even, right? Like at some point, something's going to die.
Serral's getting kind of wrecked on his gas right now. He has almost 700 minerals, but he can't make anything, and he doesn't want to make lings. Apparently, I think his larva also a slight problem, but not as much as his gas.
This attack out of Welmu is working better than I thought it would. I mean, Adepts are cool units. I think we all know that, but. Against roaches, I guess when you've got this many, yeah, this will happen.
Yeah, I really wish he would just, okay, now he's building queens as well. That could have been another option if he didn't have enough gas for roaches, but he didn't have enough initially, and he's lost, at this point, I think too many drones too. Like his production, again, always limited by that gas, is now going to start limited by just everything. GG, Welmu does it with an all-in.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see Welmu come back tomorrow for Stage 2 qualifiers.
Oh, that's weird. The loser this time bugged out. Well, inconsistent.
Anyways, congratulations to Welmu, and sorry to see Serral fall like that. Shouts to Marth93, just hit us up with a 12-month resub. Congratulations, and welcome to the 1-year club, sir.
Ooh.
But yeah, so Welmu's going to be the first one to advance through out of all these qualifiers.
Mounted it just seconds before.
Oh, okay. Mana 1 versus Damaga. That's really impressive as well. Oh, did Dr. Dario start 2 minutes ago? He did. Damn it. Namshar doesn't have an opponent yet, so Daishi still hasn't advanced forward. He's playing against Hate Me still. Isn't that like a Twitter troll or something? Why does that name sound familiar?
He just put in brackets every now and then. I don't know.
Okay. Little Bow waits on an opponent too with either Rail or Minimath, and Euthermal still hasn't played apparently. So we could probably catch one more qualifying match before we're done for the day, guys. Hiccup. So we'll see which of these qualifying games we can get into. We'll go to a small break though while we look for it. So do stick with us. We'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thanks for watching. We'll be back in 2.